didn't know it at the time, but there would be far more relevant consequence from my frivolous gastronomy. James and Ursula drove me back to the Heights. The three of us strolled arm in arm on the promenade as if we'd done it a million times before. Sandwiched lightly between them, arms entwined, we giggled our way from one end to the other. Ursula whispered, "I engineered this evening at James's request. He seems to have a bit of a crush on you." James? Really? I'm shocked. I seemed to be the only woman he didn't flirt with. Besides, I had my eye on his unassuming younger brother. Quickly reassessing, I deduced that for all intents and purposes, I was single. Eddie and I barely spoke. Vincent hadn't made a move of any significance, and Sal sure hadn't, so why not? I gave Ursula the go-ahead. She must have given James the high sign, for in the next moment he was snuggling against me as we walked. Glancing at my watch, I realized I might not beat Eddie to his place, so I disentangled and requested a ride. Before exiting the car, James asked me out for the following evening. Really anxious now, I scribbled my mother's number down and raced to the door. Creeping down to Eddie's lair, I sighed with relief when I realized I was alone. In the next instant, fury began to overtake me. Where the hell was he anyhow? It was almost 4 a.m. He hadn't even called. The answering machine light was steady. Where the fuck was he? Almost immediately, I realized the absurdity of my anger and let go a laugh. By the time Eddie stumbled down the stairs a few moments later, I couldn't have cared less. The change in my behavior did not sit well with the boy. He was used to my histrionics. He tried hard to engage me in battle. I was having none of it. My last waking thoughts were where I'd begin my apartment search. I was a grown-up, I was single, and I needed to face it once and for all. The next day, while I was putting a few miles on Cookie's treadmill, Cy came walking through, inhaled deeply, and smiled broadly. "Heard you have a date tonight." "Mm-hmm. Does Eddie know?" "How do you know it's not with Eddie?" "Easy," he said, inhaling deeply. With that, he laughed heartily and kept moving. I reeked. The entire room was under a haze emanating from my every pore. No amount of toothpaste, mouthwash, or gum could mask the smell of that day-old Caesar salad. Of all the days for me to end my garlic abstinence, this was not a savvy choice. James was waiting for me at a little watering hole across the street from his apartment. He expeditiously began the seduction by speaking very softly directly into my ear, as if the low muted jukebox was overpowering us with its sound. All I could think of was my stench. I knew my perfume and 6 sticks of gum could not help up close. His lips were brushing my hair and skin with every word. I could feel the warmth of his breath with every syllable, romancing my entire life. All except my brain, which was screaming for me to run. I was nodding appropriately, not uttering a word, lest I should have to open my mouth and let that foulness out. After a couple of drinks, I turned around and there we were at his place, on his futon. What now, smarty pants? I slinked out of his grasp, rolled a big fat joint, and sat across from him, smoking long and hard. Maybe if we got high enough, he wouldn't notice the odor. Maybe if I got high enough, I wouldn't care. There wasn't enough grass in Manhattan for either. I was spending the night at Cookie's and it was late. I used that as my exit excuse. James was due to play rock bar the following week. Oh, I left out something really important. This is really important. We kissed a little. It was awkward. Maybe the garlic wasn't the only thing stinking up the joint. Perhaps we just lacked chemistry. Okay, so now I was spending the night at Cookie's and it was late. I used that as my exit excuse. James was due to play rock bar the following week. With each passing day that he didn't call, my ardor grew. Despite my feminist outer shell, my interior was pure 1950s. Even though James was not what I wanted him to want me. A few days later, Marianne and I were hanging out at B-Bar when Vincent sauntered in. He did his little dance, sucked me in, and then split, leaving me wanting. Always left wanting. Rick, an adorable bad boy drummer that Marianne had a thing for, was playing her too. While commiserating about the pathetic state of our love lives, Marianne snarled, "Dick dogs. They're all dick dogs." And she offered this definition. Dick dog. 1. Slang. Commitment-phobic charmer. 2. Slang. Manipulative bad boy. 3, truth, self-absorbed prick. It so perfectly described the little rock boys we were forever falling in lust with, who we welcomed into our lives to play, only to break our hearts. We were so needy, hungry, desperate for love, and yet ultimately so unapproachable. Even those brave enough to try were exhausted by the effort, almost forced to take shelter and comfort elsewhere. Smart women are a pain in the ass. I was obsessed about 2 men now. Damn that Vincent, screw that James. I hadn't even given him a thought until he rushed me. Rushing is an old dick dog trick of blinding a woman with attention, hanging on her every word, admiring her beauty with each unblinking stare. And then hurry up and wait for the calls that stop coming, the dates that don't happen, and the burning desire that's left to smolder and die a gruesome, torturously slow death. Here we were, 2 horny women in our prime, ready to rock, and no guys willing to roll. Left high and dry in every sense of the word. Mary Ann said she knew the cure, some herbal oil guaranteed to do the trick. A few little sips and the obsession would lift. We raced to the all-night health food store. Bach Remedy to the rescue. A few Cheetos wouldn't hurt either.